Disclaimer: this content is intended for a mature audience, ages 20 plus. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought one night could change everything, but as I sat there, staring at my husband across the dimly lit living room, I realized I had never truly known him. Not in the way I thought I did. The man I had built my life with, the one who always seemed predictable, steady, reliable, had just done something that left me speechless. My heart pounded, my mind raced, and in that moment I wondered, had I been blind all along? Marriage is built on trust, love, and understanding. We go through life believing we know our partners, their habits, their fears, the way they think. But what happens when that certainty is shattered in a single night? When you see a side of them you never expected? That night, as I sat there, the weight of his words pressing down on me, I struggled to comprehend what was happening. It wasn't anger I felt. It wasn't even sadness. It was something far more unsettling: doubt. And once doubt creeps into a relationship, can things ever go back to the way they were? I could still hear his voice echoing in my mind, the way he looked at me as if waiting for a reaction. I wanted to ask him why. I wanted to understand, but at the same time, I wasn't sure I was ready for the answer. Have you ever experienced a moment in your relationship where you questioned everything? When a single action, a single conversation, made you wonder if you truly knew the person lying beside you every night? Relationships are full of unexpected twists, and sometimes the person we think we know best can surprise us in ways we never imagined. As I sat there, caught between disbelief and curiosity, I knew one thing for certain: our marriage would never be the same after that night. The question was, would it bring us closer together or tear us apart? Before I continue, I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced a moment in your relationship that completely shifted your perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like this video if you want to hear what happened next, because trust me, you won't see this coming. I sat there, my hands gripping the edge of the couch, my mind racing. The silence between us was heavy, filled with 1,000 unspoken words. My husband, this man I had loved for years, shared my life with, had just done something I never saw coming. And the worst part? He didn't even look surprised by my reaction. It was almost as if he had expected it, like he had been waiting for this moment. I tried to process everything, but the more I thought about it, the more questions piled up in my mind. Had I missed the signs? Were there moments leading up to this night that should have warned me? I replayed our past conversations, the little things he had said and done, looking for clues I might have overlooked. But nothing made sense. This wasn't the man I married, or at least, I thought it wasn't. He finally spoke, his voice low, almost careful. "I know this is a lot. I should have told you sooner." Told me sooner? My stomach twisted at those words. That meant this wasn't something random or impulsive. He had been carrying this secret for a while, and now, just like that, it was out in the open, staring me in the face, demanding a response. I wanted to ask why. I wanted to understand, but I couldn't even form the words. My throat was dry, my thoughts tangled. So many emotions hit me at once: shock, confusion, even a little fear. Not fear of him, but fear of what this meant for us, for our marriage. Looking at him, I searched for something familiar, something that would ground me. But his expression was unreadable. How could he be so calm when my entire world felt like it was tilting off balance? I glanced at the clock. It was late, so late that the world outside felt eerily still, like time had stopped just for us. But inside, my heart pounded like a ticking bomb. I needed time to think, to process, but deep down, I already knew. Whatever happened next, there was no going back. This night had changed everything. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt like you didn't really know someone, even after years together? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to know what happened after this moment, don't forget to like this video, because trust me, the next part will leave you even more shocked. I stared at him, waiting for something, an explanation, an apology, anything that could make sense of what just happened. But he just sat there, his fingers loosely intertwined, his gaze steady but distant, like he was bracing for my reaction. The weight of his words still lingered in the air, pressing down on me like a heavy fog. I wanted to be rational. I wanted to ask him logical questions, to understand his reasoning, but emotions don't work that way. My mind was spinning, replaying every conversation we had, every moment that now felt like it had a hidden meaning. How long had he been keeping this from me? Did he think I wouldn't notice? Or worse, did he think I wouldn't care? The silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. Finally, I forced myself to speak, my voice quieter than I expected. Why now? It was the only question I could manage. Out of all the things I could have asked, this felt the most important. His eyes flickered with something, guilt, relief, I wasn't sure, because I couldn't keep pretending anymore. The word pretending hit me harder than I expected. My breath caught in my throat. So that was it. He had been pretending all this time. Our conversations, our laughter, the quiet moments we shared at night, had any of it been real? Or had he just been playing a role, waiting for the moment to reveal his truth? A cold sensation crept through me, and for the first time, I felt an odd sense of distance between us, not just physically, but emotionally, as if the person sitting in front of me was a stranger, someone I thought I knew, but clearly didn't. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to shout, to demand answers, but the part of me that still loved him, the part that had built a life with him, held me back. Love doesn't just disappear overnight, even when trust starts to crack. I don't know how to feel about this, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded slowly, as if he had expected that. I just need you to hear me out. Please. I looked at him, my heart pounding. Did I even want to hear what he had to say? Or was I afraid of what I might discover? What would you do in this situation? Would you listen or walk away? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to know what he told me next, make sure to like this video, because trust me, it only gets more complicated from here. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. My husband sat across from me, waiting. His expression was unreadable, but his hands, clasped tightly together, gave away his tension. He was nervous, maybe even scared, and that realization sent a shiver through me. I swallowed hard. Okay, I said finally. I'm listening. He exhaled slowly, like he had been holding his breath. I didn't want to keep this from you, he began, his voice lower now, more careful. But I was afraid of what it would mean for us. For us. Those two words twisted something inside me. He was choosing them carefully, shaping his confession in a way that made it clear. Whatever he was about to say, it wasn't just about him. It was about us. A strange mix of emotions rushed through me: fear, curiosity, a deep, unsettling sense of something shifting beneath my feet. Just tell me, I said, my voice firmer than I expected. He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. I've been carrying this for a long time, he admitted, and no matter how much I tried to push it away, it kept coming back. I thought if I ignored it, if I just focused on us, on our life, it would go away. But it didn't. I felt my stomach tighten. His words were heavy, layered with meaning I couldn't quite unravel yet. Was this about something from his past? A choice he made? Or something that had been happening right in front of me without me realizing it? My heart pounded. So, what does that mean? I asked carefully. He looked at me, really looked at me, as if trying to gauge if I was ready for what he had to say next. And then, in a quiet, almost defeated voice, he said the words that made my breath catch in my throat. I can't keep living like this. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. His words lingered between us, and suddenly I realized I had been so focused on what this meant for me, for our marriage, that I hadn't stopped to think about what it meant for him. My pulse raced. Are you saying? But I couldn't finish the sentence. I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the answer. What do you think he's about to say? Drop your predictions in the comments. And if you want to know the truth, don't forget to like this video because the next part changes everything. My breath caught in my throat as his words hung in the air between us. I can't keep living like this. Each syllable echoed in my mind, unraveling everything I thought I knew about our marriage. I searched his face for answers, for any clue that would soften the weight of his confession. But there was nothing, just a quiet determination in his eyes, like he had already made up his mind about something. My heart pounded. Are you saying? I couldn't even finish the sentence. He swallowed hard, his fingers tightening around the edge of his seat. I don't know how to explain it, he admitted. I don't even know if I can explain it, but I feel like I've been living a life that isn't mine. A chill ran down my spine. His words weren't just about frustration or doubt. They were something deeper, something that had been buried for a long time. I wanted to ask him what he meant, to demand answers, but something in me hesitated. A part of me was afraid to know. Then he said something that made my entire body go still. I got a message. I blinked. A message? He nodded. Earlier today, from someone I haven't heard from in years. He paused, running a hand over his face, like he was struggling to find the right words. And what they told me? It changes everything. My mind raced. Who was it? What did they say? And why did it feel like this had been waiting to explode all along? I gripped the armrest of the couch. What are you talking about? He hesitated, his jaw tightening. It's not just about me, he finally said. It's about us, about everything we thought we knew. A shiver ran through me. I had prepared myself for a conversation about feelings, about doubts. But this was something else entirely, something unexpected. I swallowed. Just tell me. He exhaled, looking down at his hands before finally meeting my eyes. I got a message about the night we met. I felt the blood drain from my face. What? He nodded, his expression unreadable. There's something I never told you, something I didn't think mattered. But now I'm not sure anymore. A strange, uneasy feeling settled in my stomach. The night we met had always felt like fate, one of those moments that just happened, changing both of our lives forever. But now, hearing him say this, doubt crept into my mind. What do you mean? My voice was barely above a whisper. He hesitated again, as if choosing his next words carefully. What if that night wasn't a coincidence? What if someone planned it? My breath hitched. Planned it? Who? He shook his head. I don't know yet, but I need to find out. The room felt suffocating. I wasn't sure if I wanted to hear what came next, but I knew there was no turning back now. What do you think he's about to reveal? Who could have sent the message? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to know the truth, don't forget to like this video, because trust me, what happens next will shock you. My heart pounded as I stared at him, my mind racing to piece together what he was saying. The night we met wasn't a coincidence. It felt impossible, like something out of a movie, but the look in his eyes told me he wasn't making this up. This wasn't some wild theory. It was real. I swallowed hard. Who sent the message? He hesitated, his jaw tightening. It was an anonymous number, but the message, it mentioned a name, someone from my past. He exhaled sharply. Someone I thought I'd never hear from again. A cold feeling crept through me. Who? He hesitated before finally saying it. Lena. I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. Lena. The name alone sent a jolt through my body. I had heard it before, years ago, in passing, when we were still learning everything about each other. She was someone from his past, someone he had briefly mentioned but never really talked about. And now, suddenly, she was back? What did she say? My voice was barely above a whisper. He rubbed his temples, clearly trying to process it himself. She said she needed to tell me the truth about that night, that I was never supposed to meet you, that it was all planned. My stomach twisted. Planned? By who? He shook his head. That's what I don't know, but she said she regretted keeping quiet all these years, and that I needed to know before it was too late. The words "before it was too late" sent a chill through me. This wasn't just about the past anymore. This was about now, about our life, our marriage. Then his phone buzzed. We both froze. Slowly, he reached for it, his hands slightly shaking. He glanced at the screen. His face went pale. It's her. A silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. He turned the phone around so I could see. There was only one message. I need to tell you the truth, but I'm not the only one who knows. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. This wasn't just about the past anymore. Someone else was involved, someone who had been watching, waiting. But who and why? What do you think is really going on? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you want to hear what happened when we answered that call, make sure to like this video, because trust me, you won't believe what happens next. My husband and I locked eyes, the weight of the moment pressing down on us. His phone buzzed again, another message flashing on the screen. I can't say everything over text. Meet me, tonight, before they stop me. A chill ran down my spine. Before they stopped me? Who was they? And what did Lena know that made her so afraid? My husband hesitated for only a second before standing up, grabbing his keys. I have to go, he said, his voice low but firm. Instinctively, I reached for his arm. Not alone. Minutes later, we were in the car, the tension between us thick. Neither of us spoke, both lost in the storm of our own thoughts. I kept replaying the past, wondering how much of our love story had been real and how much had been orchestrated. When we arrived at the meeting spot, a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town, Lena was already there, sitting by the window. But something was wrong. She looked pale, her hands gripping her cup as if it was the only thing keeping her steady. As we slid into the booth across from her, she exhaled sharply. I don't have much time, she said, glancing around nervously. I need you to know the truth before it's too late. I braced myself. You two meeting that night? She whispered. It wasn't chance. Someone wanted you to. My pulse spiked. Who? She swallowed hard. His family. The words hit like a tidal wave. My husband stiffened beside me. What? They orchestrated everything, Lena continued. They knew you'd be the perfect match, the right choice, but they didn't tell you why. My breath caught. Why? Lena hesitated, then leaned in, her voice barely audible. Because they didn't want you to know how much was at stake. Your marriage was never just about love. It was about legacy, power, control. A cold wave of realization washed over me. I had spent years believing our love was fate, that we had found each other against the odds. But now, I wasn't sure if we had ever had a choice at all. The truth was out, but was it better to know or to live in the illusion? Would you want to know the truth or keep believing in fate? Let me know in the comments. And if you think this story needs a sequel, hit the like button, because trust me, there's more to this than you think.